Deliberate strategy to maximize profits.
50,000 homeowners locked in battles with their insurance company.
I concluded that a full replacement was necessary.
You said they needed a new roof.
I did.
And this report says what?
And they delay,
show empathy,
they deny,
investigate thoroughly,
and they offer excuses,
and pay what is owed under the terms of the policy.
At the end of the day, they just won't pay.
That would be incorrect, Senator. That's not what we do.
Welcome to How to Cheat the Insured, an Adjuster's Guide, a step-by-step system for underpaying claims and dragging out the process. And it's all right here. The official playbook. Everything the insurance industry doesn't want you to see. Step 1. So I couldn't find the playbook, but a lot of people are certain that it exists. A Senate hearing says it exists, a 60-minute special says it exists, and a public adjuster told a prospective student of mine that if she becomes an insurance adjuster, she's basically signing up to cheat people. So, is the property insurance industry really built to cheat people? And if it is, why would anybody sign up to be a part of it, to work in it? I'm Matt, and I teach complete adjuster training that gets your experience requirements waived, so obviously I have a horse in this race, which is exactly why I'm not going to ask you to take my word for anything. Instead, we're going to invest this thing like a claim. Because here's the thing, the industry cheats people isn't just bad vibes. It's also an accusation with testable parts. If it's true, we should be able to find out 3 things. Number 1, a mechanism, some actual process by which estimates get pushed down. 2, an incentive. The people doing the pushing have to benefit from it. And 3, the money. If an entire industry is systematically shaving claims, those savings have to show up somewhere in the number. So mechanism, incentive, money. So let's go find them, starting now. In May of 2025, Senator Josh Hawley chairs a Senate subcommittee hearing called Examining the Insurance Industry Claims Practices Following Recent Natural Disasters, end quote. A Georgia homeowner who had a big oak tree through her house from Hurricane Helene testified that Allstate offered her a fraction of what her home needed to get to pre-loss conditions. 2 adjusters who worked her claim testify that they were pressured to lower their estimates. One says she was told to call cracked tile settling and told to write the roof for repair when he believed it needed replacement. When Hawley asks if this was a pattern, the adjuster answers, quote, "This was definitely a pattern." And before that, after Hurricane Ian, adjusters testified in Florida that their reports were altered after submission. One said that 44 of his 46 reports were changed, always downward, sometimes massively. 60 Minutes even covered it. These are real hearings, real testimony. A lot of it is under oath. I'm not going to tell you that these adjusters are lying, but the carriers were in that hearing room as well with Josh Hawley. Allstate's chief claims officer was sworn in the same day, and here's what he said about the testimony that you just heard. Some of what you heard today was not accurate. Well, what specifically? Allstate had already settled with that homeowner for about $100,000, which didn't come up in her testimony. According to Allstate, roughly 70% of the difference between the estimates wasn't structural damage at all. It was cosmetic. The adjuster's estimate included replacing the bricks on a whole entire side of the house for aesthetic reasons. Matching, right? And per Allstate, neither the policy nor Georgia law covers undamaged materials that otherwise don't need to be dealt with in a repair. And if you've been in claims for any more than 5 minutes, you know exactly what this is all about. To me, this is a matching dispute, whether the carrier owes to replace undamaged materials so that everything looks uniform. It's one of the oldest arguments in property claims. It varies by policy language, and honest people disagree about this issue every single day. That, apparently, is what most of this so-called scandal was made of. And if we dig into the numbers a little bit on this one claim, we see that Allstate's first offer, $46,000. The settlement was about $100,000. The field adjuster's original estimate was around $200,000, which, when Allstate asked him to clarify, he himself revised it down to about $100,000, okay? The public adjuster's number, of course, $500,000, which even the whistleblowing field adjuster reportedly didn't agree with. So you have 4 numbers on one house, and every person swears that their number was right. My estimate was changed is not exactly the same claim as my estimate was correct. So which was it? Well, nobody in Congress audited a single line item. Nobody put the original estimate next to the carrier guidelines and checked the scope. There's no cross-examination of an Xactimate file at a Senate hearing because it's just television, okay? Which means that the testimony proves something happened, right? Estimates got changed, but it can't tell us what happened. Was it cheating? Or was it correction? To answer that, we have to go inside of the machine, which brings us to test number 1, the mechanism. How do estimates actually get changed before they get paid? Here's what I can tell you from going on 30 years inside the property claims industry. There absolutely is a mechanism that changes adjusters' estimates. It runs constantly on pretty much every single claim that gets filed in America. It's called file review, okay? Every estimate an adjuster writes gets reviewed before a check goes out. That's not a conspiracy. That is quality assurance on a payment against a legal contract. And thank heaven for it, because I've worked as a file reviewer before, and a lot of what comes up from the field is rough, okay? Especially in a catastrophe when firms are deploying brand new adjusters by the hundreds because there are more claims than experienced people to run them, which is another systemic problem our industry has. Would it be that sensationalized, bad, out of context press gives us a bad reputation? That's another video, okay? New adjusters absolutely make mistakes. They forget about the estimating guidelines altogether, or they misunderstand them. They write for a full roof replacement when the damage only supports a repair. They double dip line items. They write for things the policy doesn't cover. And when I was a field manager on Hurricane Sandy, my adjusters on my team needed my approval to total a roof for wind. To be honest with you, I was kind of shocked at how many adjusters on my team were really trying to push me hard to total roofs that had minor damage, or in a few cases, no actual damage at all that we could pay for. And these weren't all rookies either. Some of these guys claimed more than a couple of seasons of experience. So from my perspective, pushing those estimates back down wasn't pressure to underpay. It was paying what the policy owed instead of buying somebody a roof that wasn't damaged. But from their side of things, every single one of those adjusters that was on my team could go home and say with a completely straight face, well, my manager made me lower my estimate, right? Both sentences describe the same conversation, and only one of them is going to make the news. Now, I'm going to tell you about a version of file review that I don't defend, and I think could be partially responsible for some of the headlines and a lot of headaches, okay? Some IA firms do what I've heard called collaboration. When a field adjuster's file has problems, typos, guideline violations, wrong price lists, scope errors, whatever, instead of sending a correction request back to the adjuster, the file reviewer or claim examiner just fixes it quietly and then sends it through. And the field adjuster usually never knows. Ironically, collaboration exists to get the homeowner paid faster. Send a correction request back to a buried rookie, and that file dies at the back of their to-do list while the homeowner waits. And the IA firm can't afford that. Firms live and die by cycle time. Carriers hold IA firms to service level agreements, and a firm that lets claims languish doesn't just look bad, it can lose that whole contract. So the desk fixes the file and just pushes it through. The practice everybody reads as secretly changing estimates to cheat people is at its root a speed play. It's a shortcut in service of closing the file and cutting the check faster for the insured. But look at what that creates, okay? The problem is the adjuster never gets calibrated to what the carrier wants. They never learn, and they never get to defend their scope. Maybe they did see something there that the desk missed, and most of them never find out at all. The ones who do usually stumble onto it a lot later on their direct deposit slip deal that shows their commissions. When they discovered that $200,000 estimate that they wrote that they were all excited to get paid for actually went out the door at $50,000 or $60,000 with no explanation ever. I am against the practice of collaboration, for the record, and you can't blame the adjuster for concluding they changed my estimate to save money. And what does that conclusion sound like 3 years later under oath at a Senate hearing in front of 60 Minutes, right? So test one result, does the mechanism exist? Yes, it does. Estimates get changed every single day, but the mechanism isn't a cheating machine. It's quality control, sometimes run badly and quietly. My numbers went down and nobody explained why describes both fraud and ordinary file review. And one of those runs on millions of claims a year. Which one is it? The mechanism alone can't tell us, so we need to know who benefits, which is test 2. The incentive, who profits from a cheated claim. So let's follow the money through every person who touches your claim, starting at the bottom. We have the field adjuster. Does the person writing your estimate benefit from making it smaller? Here's the industry's worst kept secret. Independent property adjusters are paid on a fee schedule tied to the size of the claim. The bigger the claim, the bigger the fee, the more the adjuster gets paid. The field adjuster's financial incentive points up, not down. The idea that the IA at your kitchen table wants your claim smaller is exactly backwards. So does anybody benefit from dragging the claim out then? An IA doesn't get paid until the file closes. An open claim is an unpaid invoice. A staff adjuster gets new claims stacked on top of every claim that they let linger. And staying on top of a pending list is one of the hardest parts of that job. Nobody in this business wants a slow claim. Nobody. The carriers actually train the opposite. Close that file on site at the kitchen table. First check in the homeowner's hands that day so that repairs can start. The fastest way to a happy customer is a paid one. So the field adjuster gains nothing from a smaller claim, right? Well, what about the firm that employs them? It's the same answer, and here's why. The firm splits that fee schedule with the adjuster. The invoice that goes out pays both the adjuster and the IA firm. When the adjuster invoices a bigger claim, the firm's cut is bigger as well. An IA firm that shaves estimates would literally be cutting its own revenue. What the firm actually wants is a high-producing adjuster who writes full, complete, accurate estimates that sail through review, because that adjuster closes more files, generates more fee revenue, and keeps the customer happy, which keeps the carrier happy, right? That adjuster is going to be a busy boy. He stays deployed. The firm's dream employee is the exact opposite of somebody who underpays. Well, what about the carrier? Surely the company at the top benefits from underpaying, right? Well, let's price it out, because underpaying a claim isn't free. It actually has costs. Cost number 1, litigation. An underpaid claim that goes to court almost always costs more than just paying it right the first time, because juries and umpires don't just award what was owed. Because they view the insured as an underdog, they tend to punish. What should have been a $25,000 claim can come back as a judgment 10 times that, just on principle. Number 2, retention. Underpay a claim and that customer is gone, along with everybody that they talk to. Keeping a customer for decades of premiums is worth infinitely more than some thousands of dollars shaved off of one claim. These are some of the most conservative, most heavily regulated companies in America, and they trade on reputation above all. The one thing that terrifies them, insurance companies, right, is the public deciding that they're going to get cheated if they go with them. And to prove that this retention math is real, I offer you these personal anecdotes. In my experience, carriers occasionally will pay more than the policy owes. The policy is the floor, not the ceiling. I've personally had roofs approved for longtime insureds where there wasn't storm damage that owed them a roof. This customer has been with them forever. Mabel and her husband got their policy in 1951 and their roof is falling apart. No storm damage, but the insurance company is going to take care of them. I've seen commercial insured who's worth thousands of dollars a month in premiums get all 4 sides of a building re-sided when only one side was damaged and owed. It's not like a weakness or anything. That's just a company doing the retention math out loud, okay? It's the exact opposite behavior of a company running a secret nickel and diming playbook. This thing. And for whatever my experience is worth, I ran claims for most of the major carriers in this country. Never, not in one meeting, one memo, one deployment briefing, did anybody tell me to save the company money. The mantra for every carrier on every single storm was, pay what we owe, no more, no less. You want to know when I actually got in trouble? It's when QA re-inspected my claims and found damage that I missed. Underpaying was not a strategy. It was a headache for everybody involved. So test 2's result, At every level, the incentives point toward paying correctly and closing fast, which leaves one last place the truth could hide. If the industry is secretly shaving claims, despite all of this, the savings have to show up in the financials. So let's check the money. Test number 3. Where are the savings? This is the part that breaks people's brains. And it's simple once somebody just says it plainly, okay? An insurance company is a subscription business. That is it. The product is not a claim check. It's a subscriber. This is somebody who pays every month for years, ideally decades, and ideally bundles the house, the car, the boat, the motorcycle, all that stuff, right? That's why retention is everything. And it's why they hound you for a 9 or 10 on those NPS surveys. How likely are you to recommend Acme Insurance Company to your friends and family? That's the only question that they care about, okay? They want to sign up subscribers and they want to keep those subscribers. Now, the subscription dollars go into 2 buckets, and only one of them actually makes them money. Bucket number 1 is for paying claims. This bucket loses money, not makes a little, but loses. In 2023, Homeowners Insurance paid out $1.10 for every premium dollar that it took in. 10 cents underwater on every single dollar. And 2024 was the best year since 2019, and it still only came out to keeping 0.3 of 1 cent per dollar. So on the claims side, this business runs at break even at best and a loss for most years. Well, what about bucket 2? That's investing the money while it waits. Premiums come in today, claims get paid later, right? So in between, billions of dollars sit in the pool called the float, earning returns on investments. Okay, this is also the bucket that pays the light bills. Warren Buffett built an entire empire on the float. So the claim bucket loses money, the investment bucket makes money, and the whole machine runs only if subscribers keep subscribing, which tells you exactly what the enemy of this business is. And it is not a big claim. It's churn. It's people canceling. So that's the trade-off. If you short a homeowner $10,000 on a roof, what do you get in exchange? You get a canceled subscriber worth tens of thousands of dollars in future premiums, everybody that they tell, a possible bad faith lawsuit, and maybe even the regulator's attention. Nobody actually wants to make that trade. This is just basic math for them. The claim check was never where carriers profit. It's where they retain their subscribers. And a little secret for you regarding insurance. You're going to get what you pay for, okay? Some companies are more expensive. And why? Because they're usually the ones who will bend over backwards to keep you as a customer instead of trying to lure you in with discounted rates. And one more thing, just for the record, just to kind of give you a sense of scale. The insurance industry handles millions of property claims every single year. A single hurricane alone can generate hundreds of thousands of claims. The overwhelming majority get inspected, estimated, paid, and closed, and you never hear about them because a claim handled correctly is simply not a story. The claims in front of Congress are the ones that went so sideways that they became national news. They are real, right? They're also the outliers of the outliers. Judging claims by Senate hearings is judging aviation by crash reports. Both things are true. The crashes happened, but flying is still very, very safe. So is the property insurance industry built to cheat people? The mechanism that changes estimates exists, and it's overwhelmingly quality control, not a cheating machine. Though when it does run silently, it kind of manufactures people who sincerely believe that they were told to underpay. The incentives at every level, from the field adjuster's fee schedule to the carrier's retention math, point toward paying what's owed and closing the claims fast. And the money, the place that systematic cheating would have to show up, shows an industry that loses money on this product most years and profits on investments and loyalty instead. Are there bad actors? Absolutely. Sloppy firms, of course. Has some manager somewhere leaned on some adjuster in a way that crossed a line? Probably. And when something like that is proven, prosecute those companies and those people who broke the rules, because it's breaking the law. But a system that's built to cheat people, the mechanism doesn't show it, the incentives don't support it, and the money just isn't there. Which brings us back to my students' real question. Why would anybody sign up for this? Here's why. Because the actual job, the real one, not the one in the headlines, is being the person who shows up on the worst day of a stranger's life with the authority to get them paid what their policy owes them, to get them to their pre-loss condition, to help them recover from a loss. The system works better when you're good at it. The homeowner gets their check faster when you're good at it. So if you're gonna do this job, the mission is simple. Be good at it. And here's how. Your action plan, how to never be the headline. First, make it an interview question. Before you sign up with an IA firm, ask them straight up. When my files need corrections, do you send me a correction request or do you fix it and push it through without telling me? If the answer is we collaborate, meaning that they silently rewrite your files, I'm going to tell you, for me, that's not the firm for me, and I'm going to suggest it's not the firm for you, okay? You want the firm that sends corrections back to you because that's where you're going to learn. It's where you're going to get calibrated to what the carrier wants and the IA firm, and it's going to give you the opportunity to defend your scope when you want to make the case to pay for something that might be a little bit unconventional, okay? The firms that fix things in silence are the ones that are manufacturing the next batch of they changed my estimate adjusters. Second, you've got a lot of resources available to you like the carrier's estimating guidelines, and those things should live on your phone. It's either going to be some giant PDF or a link, but either way, it should be one tap away in the field. When you hit any doubt on a scope, coverage, or estimate, search those guidelines, search the policy, do your own research first. If you've genuinely dug and you still can't find a definitive answer, then you call your IA firm team manager, not the carrier manager or anybody else. But not before. The adjuster who calls the manager before opening the guidelines is going to stay a rookie forever. And half of they changed my estimate is really, I just never read the estimating guidelines, okay? Third, document your file like it has to defend itself without you in the room, because it does. And hear me on this. Fewer well-shot, well-framed key photos in your file is going to beat a gazillion blurry, mediocre ones every single time. Nobody at the desk is scrolling through 400 junk photos looking for your story. 60 photos that clearly tell the story of this claim. That claim file and that estimate has a much better chance of sailing through file review with no problems than getting the insured paid and getting you paid. Fourth, if you ever feel pressure to do something unethical, anything in any direction, address it head on right there. Don't stew on it. Don't vaguely resent it. And don't run to a Senate hearing 3 years later. Ask the question out loud. If it's me, and again, this is just me, consider this to be entertainment and not advice. I'm literally going to say to the person, hold on a second. Are you telling me to leave documented covered damage off this estimate? Make them say it. Because I'm going to tell you, 999 times out of 1,000, the answer is going to be, no, your estimate violates the guidelines. That's why. And now you've learned something. I personally know and have known thousands of adjusters, managers, file reviewers, ops directors, vice presidents, CEOs, QA guys, staff, and independent, and never once has one told me that a manager or somebody else instructed them to shortchange an estimate to save the company money. It's just simply not a thing, no matter what some ambulance chaser, public adjuster, may say. Am I signing up to cheat people? No. Signing up for a job where everything works better when you get it right. And this whole investigation kept landing on the same finding. The difference between the adjuster whose estimates sail through clean and the adjuster whose estimates get changed is going to be training, knowing the guidelines, writing the file up right the first time. And that's exactly what I built Fast Track to Deployment to do. This is complete adjuster training that gets your experience requirements waived so that you show up to your first deployment writing files that don't need fixing. You can check it out at adjustertv.com/certify. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great storm.